Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, so before I started, let me introduce my group members that are Aulia Rahman with ID numbers 200185050 and me, Karina Elsha, with ID number 200180015 and Nadhira Puti Isladara with ID number 200180077. And today we would like to try to explain about theories of learning underlying instructional design. Learning theories are the foundation for designing instructional solutions to achieve desired learning outcomes. Imagine you've just bought a new house and are researching the best possibilities for furniture placement in the living room. Analogies can help you understand new concepts. Your goal is to create a furniture arrangement that is both attractive and functional. Depending on how you interpret that situation, many factors can influence your decisions, and there may be more than one solution that achieves the intended results. Theories and models, meanwhile, serve as a basis and framework for every instructional design work. Theories act as lenses through which alternative viewpoints on a subject can be seen. Much how interior design styles and preferences can influence which furniture you buy for your new home based on your overall aesthetic. The models then give instructions on how to construct the solution or where to arrange the furniture in the house. The answer will differ depending on the theory and model used, much as a living room with modern versus Western style decor and diverse configuration may seem extremely different. However, the required results are still possible. A thorough analysis is required to guarantee that the theory and/or technique chosen will support the desired results and the target learners. The first one is behaviors learning theory. Behaviorism Behaviorism includes a group of theory that share several common beliefs. Behavioral learning theory can be defined as learning that occurs as a result of a behavioral reaction to stimuli received from the environment by Richie R. Klein, G. and Tracy and 2011. The assumptions that support this theory have little respect for the cognitive processes of the learner participating in the task by McLeod G. There are three factors are taken into account in the assumptions. The first one is the instructional task is the focus of a behavior response. And the second one is the learning occurs through the influence of environmental stimuli. And the last one, the third one, is the learning occurs through the process of repetition or rehearsals of the behaviors. Behavioral learning theory is also typically separated into two categories. The first one is classical conditioning, and the second one is operant conditioning. And the last slide will be presented by Aulia Rahman. For Aulia Rahman, the time and place is yours.
Okay, thanks to Karina Elsa. The next material is about classical conditioning. Classical conditioning is a type of learning that happens unconsciously. Even Pavlov is well known for his dog experiment. Pavlov focused on natural responses that may be produced through the use of unrelated stimuli in his experiment with dogs. Pavlov used light, the conditioned stimulus, and food, the unconditioned stimulus, to produce salivation from the dog in his classical conditioning experiment. The aim was that after a certain number of trial rehearsals, the dogs would salivate when exposed to light. Light became a situation that the dog recognized over time and began to salivate as a result of the food. The light would become less influential over time in the absence of food and would no longer evoke the same response. Operant conditioning. In this way, the learner's behavior are influenced by the variables that affect him or her. In order to learn behavior, the learner will need to feel satisfied while in performing it. This is referred to as the stimulus in conditioning. However, it's referred to as motivation by some, while this is comparable to classical conditioning. The behavior to talk differs significantly. The behavior is not automatic under operant conditioning. Like salivation, this is a job that needs to be finished. This distinction is important to understand for people who are new to the field of learning theory. Next is application in instructional design. Skinner and Pavlov, two influential behaviorists, attract attention in behavioral learning theory as a method of education. The theory applications were first revealed in the 1950s with the introduction of Skinner's teaching machines. The machine consists of a sequence of tasks that the student had to accomplish, each one designed to guarantee that the activity were complete correctly in order to progress. The machines were sophisticated, and the main purpose was to create a positive response in the form of behavior. This machine prepared the path of program instruction, which takes empirical approach to assessing and solving issues. Some may interpret this as the beginning of a system design approach to education, which it very well could be. Consider how much content, guided tasks, practice, and feedback are influenced in each lesson. Impact on the field of instructional design. There is no denying that learning can lead to the development of a physical skill as well as the practice of that skill leading to a response to a stimulus. The use of reinforcement to encourage behavior is at the foundation of behavioral learning theory. The use of reinforcement and instructional design can help learners learn to complete the instructional objectives that are provided to them. Teaching machine and program instruction, for example, are minor contributions to the area, but they have paved the way for instructional designers to alter the learning environment in order to produce more successful strategies. It's important to note that many instruction strategies involve giving the learner feedback because it helps them establish positive habits as a result of the lesson. Number two, cognitive learning theory. The internal nature cognitivism learning theory is a contrast to behaviorism surface nature. Cognitivism focuses on how the learner organizes knowledge into existing knowledge schemas to determine how the brain internal process, retain and recall information. In the learner's mind, schemas are structures of existing information. Instruction can be planned to increase the probability that new knowledge will be incorporated to the learner existing schema, ensuring that new information is maintained to recall. Schema theory. A defined schema is not permanent. In other words, it can be changed in response to new information. The schema can also expand it to create connection between similar set of data. The schema can improve the learning of new memory structures depending on how learners establish the cognitive basis. With the development of ways to improve the storage and retrieval of facts from memory, cognitive learning theory has had an impact on the field of education. It's worth noting that contributions from all cognitive processing theories, including rehearsal, chunking, and mnemonics, have all played a part in the development of strategies. While these strategies are generally utilized as instructional designers could be use them in the development of instructional based solution. Okay, I think that's all from me. The next material is about impact on the field of instructional design will be explained by my partner Nadhira Puti. To Nadhira, time is yours.
Let's move to the impact of cognitive learning theory on the field of instructional design. Instructional design enlarges its scope of practice with the introduction of connective learning theory to incorporate solutions that put the learner at the center of the design process. Some instructional designers adopt an iterative process to produce instructional solutions that incorporates information about the learners as well as the environment. The instructional designer creates a list of instructional goals that can now go beyond only behaviorism. Additionally, assessment techniques can be used to examine the newly acquired knowledge that has been transferred to the learner. Because of cognitivism, instructional design has moved to integrate a more system-like design approach with a focus on the learners. Move to the third theory is social learning theory. The discipline of instructional design can be benefit from social learning theory as well. The impact of learning on factors connected to the social environment is the subject of social learning theory. To put it another way, takes place in the context of a social setting in which the learner is placed. The environment and the individual psychological states are two variables that are considered within the scope of this theory. The surrounding and the learner's state of mind have significant effects on the learner. When a learner sees a behavior as having a positive outcome, he or she is more motivated to perform in it. Next to the applications of social learning theory. Social learning theory has produced lots of new applications that have had a significant impact on the field of instructional design. It's crucial to note that the examples below represent only a small portion of the impact that social learning theory has had on the subject. Modeling and building self-efficacy are two of them. Making use of models is the first applications of social learning theory. Models have long been used to assist present information in a way that learners can understand. Models typically incorporate a performance or demonstration of an activity that guides the learner through the process of interpreting the observation into actionable information. Graphic images, electronic media, and symbolic representations of concepts are some other examples. Next to self-efficacy. The design of lessons that allow learners to see others of similarity abilities as succeeding at instructional tasks can influence self-efficacy. This can be accomplished in a variety of creative ways, but it is most effective in collaborative activities involving small groups of learners. Overall, self-efficacy is the belief in one's ability to succeed at specific tasks. Move to the impact of social learning theory on the field of instructional design. By extending the way in which instructional solution can be developed, social theory has made its mark on the field of instructional tasks. A new world of instructional strategies has opened up as a result of the additions of how the social aspect of the setting might influence learning. Peer review and collaborative learning groups are frequently used in a variety of education systems. Knowledge is not only communicated to the individual in this way, but the learner can interpret the models in a way that increases their individual understanding by using a set of observable actions. So this is all the references that we use to get information about theory of instructional designs. So I think that's all from our group. Thank you for your attention. If you have questions, just go to discussion forum on e-learning. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.